Hello, my name is Roxanne, and I am going to go over how to make a nutritionally dense, wonderful smoothie to start your day. Smoothies are definitely one of my favorite things to talk to patients about and a go-to for getting nutrition into ourselves, into our spouses, into our kids, and it's an easy, feasible, and convenient way to do that. Now, first and foremost, when you see what's on the counter, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. You don't have to do all of these things, but I wanted you to be able to understand some different ways that you can go about making smoothies for your family in a way that they can get all of the nutrition you want them to have in the morning, first thing to start the day, and be feeling successful and good about what you're bringing into your bodies. So, first and foremost, I usually start with some sort of base fruit. So whatever you're going to be using for that day. I have found it to be easiest because I go to Costco or if you go to Sam's to just get their big bags of fruit because it's most affordable. But this can be the part that sometimes can be challenging when you're on a budget. And so some ways to go about that is looking for sales on fruit, even fresh fruit. If you see those go on sale, then you can cut them up and freeze them on some parchment paper and make your own frozen fruit. Bananas are a great thing to do in that way. And so always just looking for those different feasible options, looking for them on sale, looking for where you're going to find the best price. If you are able to go to one of those bulk stores like Winco, Costco, Sam's, they can often be more affordable. So usually I pick one to start with. We'll go ahead and do our berry blend today. The other one we often do is our mango passion fruit blend. And so go ahead and stick that back in the freezer. The one thing you want to be aware of with your fruit is the amount of sugar that you're putting in. So today I'm going to be making a big smoothie like I would for my family of 5, but depending on if it's a single person, you would want to adjust that. So for our family of 5, I usually fill about 1/3 of the blender up with fruit. And so that is where I get the base fruit from. Now in another video that I've made, you can check out how to make greens cubes. This is, I feel, a must-have if you're making smoothies. What you do is you take greens, you lightly steam them, you put them in the blender, blend them up, and concentrate them down, and then make green ice cubes out of them. The very cool thing about this is that every green cube is almost the equivalent of if you were to grab a handful of fresh greens and put it in your smoothie. So usually doing that, you might get 1 or 2 handfuls in, but when you make these cubes, it's way easier to get a lot more nutrition into your smoothies. So for our family of 5, I usually put anywhere from 6 to 7 of these green cubes in. That way, a little too many, I can ensure that every one of us is at least getting a full, almost 2 servings. Full serving and sometimes up to 2 servings worth of greens just first thing in the morning in our smoothies. The next thing you're really looking at when you look at making a healthy smoothie and covering your bases is getting good fats into the system. And so our next thing that I usually try to find, this one can be a little bit more tricky, is avocado. It makes your smoothies really creamy. It actually helps sustain energy longer, makes you feel full longer. Can be a really excellent add into smoothies. Again, is going to be budget required. I've seen and have gotten sales where it was like buy one get one free. When that happens, I always get several. Occasionally Costco carries them and they're a really good price, or sometimes you'll find that just regular avocados are on sale for a really good price. And same thing, you'll just cut them up, put them on some parchment paper so that they're separated, freeze them, and then put them into a freezer bag. And that can be an excellent way to add in avocados. You don't need a ton to be able to get some of those fat benefits from them and make your smoothies really creamy and delicious. As I said before, obviously you're not probably going to make your smoothie with all the things that I've shown here, but big things again are looking at getting in greens, veggies, and nutrition in that way, balancing your veggies and greens with your fruit. so that you can get a good balance of those nutrients, balancing your fats, your proteins, and your sugars. And so when you're looking at sugars, our serving size for a fruit, for about a cup, is going to be around 23 grams of sugar. And then I usually use a base drink to be able to give that flavor to the smoothie so that my kids will drink it, everyone feels happy about it, what it tastes like. I have found that these naked juices that I get at Costco have been the most affordable way to go because it's about $1.25 per bottle. If you're using a single smoothie, then you'd only use maybe a third of this each time, so it would really go a long ways. It would be even cheaper. But where I'm making it for all 5 of us, then I use the full bottle. Another thing that I've looked into that you could use is the concentrate of juices. With those, you definitely would not want to use the whole thing because it is concentrated. You could even divide that into probably 4 different servings, depending, even up to 6 servings if you're using them for single servings to add that base flavor and just kind of give you the taste that you're looking for in a smoothie. So go ahead and add our naked juice to there. Once that's in, my next concern is getting enough proteins and fats in so that the sugar from my base juice and the sugar from my fruit does not overpower the protein and fats. The disadvantage that comes when you have too much sugar and not enough fats or proteins coming in with it is that you'll get kids that are on an energy rush. They'll have a harder time focusing, and they will have a spike in energy and then a drop. Where if you can get more fats and proteins into your smoothie, then you're going to have a bigger balance with that, with stabilized energy, stabilized mood, and kind of an overall sense of ongoing energy and support. So as we add our water in, you also could add in milks. Coconut milk is a great one because it's higher in fat, especially if you can get canned coconut milk. From a cost perspective, you don't have to use any sort of milk, but that can be another possibility or way that you can go about things. So now I'm looking at what proteins to use. A couple different options that you can do. You can get veggie protein. This is one that I have liked, is the Orgain organic protein. This one you can get at Costco for a really good price. One of the pros and cons is a lot of people do really well on a vegetable protein, but sometimes animal proteins can be a little bit more grounding. So if you have some really excitable or energized kids, then using an animal-based protein can be a little bit more grounding and can help stabilize that energy a little bit more. So when I make them, I do a variety. Also at Costco, they have the collagen peptides for a really good price. So I've added those in and kind of alternate them, or I'll add a scoop of each so that I can get those different ones. My favorite protein is from Standard Process, which is the company that I always go to. It's an undenatured whey. So basically the biggest thing you want to look for if you're going to use a whey protein is that it's not a whey isolate. Whey isolate means it's been processed. A lot of times digestive tracts don't do as well with those, but an undenatured or a clean whey protein can be very, very beneficial for the digestive tract and for getting in proteins in that way. The last one is a greens powder. You certainly don't have to add this in, especially if you're doing your greens cubes. But if you don't want to take the time to do greens cubes, using a greens powder can be really beneficial to be able to enhance and get those greens in. I've always really liked Amazing Grass. They do a great job with their greens powder. Standard Process also has one that I use and alternate through that is really great. Camu Camu Powder. This is an excellent powder to adjunct in for boosting the immune system. The Camu Camu is one of your highest sources of vitamin C, and so if you're going into back to school or you're trying to enhance and support the immune system, looking for a natural way to get more vitamin C into the diet, this is a great powder to utilize into smoothies. It kind of gives a little bit of a tart flavor and it's quite tasty, but a really great way of boosting the immune system and making sure that everyone's getting sufficient amounts of vitamin C. The last one we have over here as far as powders go is our Maca Powder. This is a great energy boosting the maca is. And so you can use that, add that into your smoothies. Lots of other ways you can use it as well. But the main reason for maca is going to be energy boosting and energy sustaining. So if you're having a hard time with energy, that can be a great thing to add into smoothies to increase your energy. So when I do this, I'm always trying to get about the same amount of protein into my smoothie as I am with the fruit, so that I can balance those things. So in order for me to do that, I have to do a full serving of each of these for all 5 of us. Obviously, if you're doing it for just yourself or for a smaller amount, then you would not need to use as much protein because you're not going to be having as much sugar. And so it seems like a lot for us because that is breaking down for enough for all 5 of us to be able to have enough protein. I like to get a little bit from the different resources just because your body is going to utilize those different chains in different ways. Absolutely isn't necessary. You could just stick to one. And that can be kind of an investment up front, and so just over time getting different types can be beneficial just so that you have different things coming into the body and supporting it in that way. Being a nutritionist, I am always a huge advocate for getting more greens into my kids, so I just usually do 1 scoop of that, even in addition to my greens powder or cubes. Totally not necessary, but we're gonna go the extra mile with that. The next 2 things that we put in our smoothies is your fats. It's along with the avocado, is just going to help to balance those sugars, make sure that those are not the main thing that spikes in the body and are going to feed the brain. Your brain is about 60 to 70% fat, so fats are going to be very, very important for feeding the brain. They're also going to make your smoothie nice and creamy, super important for all of your cells. It's going to help with clarity of mind, it's going to help with kids and concentrating in school, going to help with sustaining energy. Fat actually sustains longer and better than protein or carbs. So, great thing to add into smoothies. First one, we have olive oil. You usually want to do about a tablespoon for a big smoothie like this. If you're going to do a smaller smoothie for yourself, then a teaspoon is plenty. And then we have our MCT oil. MCT oil is a fractionated coconut oil that they take out the larger particles so that it doesn't turn solid when it gets cold in smoothies. Also gets into the brain a little bit more easily and into the cells. And so there's been a lot of evidence showing you'll get an increase in brain function, clarity, a lot of great benefits from using the MCT oil versus just plain coconut oil. There's great places for both. You absolutely can put regular coconut oil in here. I do like using MCT just because it doesn't clump up. So those are all of the things that we put into our smoothie. I am going to add in our vitamin C today as well. And then you'll go ahead and blend. Now, I've talked about this in other videos as well. I have a Vitamix. I absolutely love it, but it took me a long time to get there. Don't feel stressed or feel pressure like you have to have a certain type of blender to start making smoothies for your family. Anything is going to be great. Anything is going to be a step in the right direction. And as you incorporate these things and start to love them and start to see that it's a good fit or the best thing for your family, then you can start to add those things more into the budget and work up to that. But it took us many years to get to our bigger blender. You just go ahead and blend it. I'll let it settle and then blend it one more time just to make sure they all get mixed in and don't settle at the top. And there you have it. In about 5 to 10 minutes, you can have a smoothie for the entire family. Great way to start the day with a good ratio of vegetables, your fruits, your nutrients, vitamins, proteins, and fats, and feel really good about how you and your family are starting the day and what you're getting in first thing in the morning. Thank you, and look forward to seeing you again soon.